What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Under the Skin. This film was first requested to be by EquinoxGuardVice on my Tusk review that I released a couple weeks ago. It's really interesting how I'm getting a lot of horror movie requests from you guys, because it seems like most of you are horror movie junkies, which is pretty cool because that's definitely a rare breed in my experience. Also, just a heads up, this is the movie that originated the Scarlett Johansson falling image that the internet has now taken and had a lot of fun with. But anyway, let's get into my review of Under the Skin. Okay, so Under the Skin is a 2013 sci-fi horror film starring Scarlett Johansson that was directed and co-written by Johnathan Glazer and is loosely based off the 2000 novel of the same name written by Michael Faber. The film almost exclusively follows Scarlett Johansson's character, who is never given an actual name, so officially she's just known as the woman or the female. The woman drives around in a van abducting men in Scotland with the help of another unnamed character simply known as the motorcyclist or the bad man. Now I can't tell you why these two characters are abducting Scottish men because it would spoil the movie for you, but I'll just say this, it's weird as hell, and if you know nothing about the book, then you're probably going to be pretty surprised. Most of the movie is spent with Scarlett Johansson driving around in her abduction van and swaying men with her sexuality and then abducting them to her lair, and you really don't understand why or how she's doing this until much later into the movie. But this formula worked and made for a very tense and suspenseful thriller type film that I couldn't stop watching because I had to know how and why this woman was abducting these men. My usual motto is that if it's in the official trailer, then I feel it's within bounds to talk about in a spoiler-free review like this one. So if you've seen the trailer, you know that she abducts these Scottish men and takes their skin, which you really only actually see play out on screen like once, but it's scary as hell. And this scene is very well done because it's in the middle of the film or so as you gradually get more and more information into her methods and reasoning. It doesn't spoon feed you anything as a viewer, and you have to piece together everything until you get the big reveal at the tail end of the movie. I legitimately had no idea where this plot was gonna go, and at the end of it I was like, oh shit, I should have freaking known that's what it was. Like I said, there's really only one character in this movie that's of any legitimate significance, and that's obviously Scarlett Johansson's character, the woman. This definitely has to be her #1 role to me, because in this movie she is absolutely fantastic. She shows off her acting skills in a way that I've never seen her accomplish before, because her character is so cold and calculated and rarely shows any emotion whatsoever for the first half or so of the movie. The second half she starts to evolve and develop as a character, and it's interesting to watch play out because it shows off Scarlett Johansson's versatility as an actress. Coming into this movie I was a little skeptical because I always thought that Scarlett Johansson was a decent actress but mostly cast in roles like Black Widow because she's a pretty face. But no, actually, she showed in this movie that she has some serious acting skills because she was so convincing in this role that will have you creeped out to the core, but it's like a train wreck that you can't take your eyes off of. So like I said, there aren't really any other actors in this movie that you're going to care about because they're in it so little that they won't really make a significant impact. The motorcyclist was even played by a real professional motorcyclist by the name of Jeremy McWilliams from Great Britain, who actually does a really good job with 0 lines. One thing that's really cool though in this movie is that some people that the woman talks to are actually real people who play themselves, and they have real unscripted conversations that were filmed with a hidden camera. She picks up people in her van that actually didn't know they were in a movie until they were told they were later on in the conversation. Jeremy Glazer, the director, said the men were, quote, talked through what extremes they would have to go to if they agreed to take part in the film once they understood what they were doing. And this is just one example of how unique this film is from start to finish. The story itself, the cinematography, the music, and the acting were all extremely unique and gave the film a very strong identity that's unlike any movie I think I've ever seen before. The cinematography might have been the best part of this movie for me just because it's so unusually shot that it adds to the eeriness of the story. Now, one thing I will say is that this movie is not at all your typical horror movie in any way, shape, or form, especially in the way it's shot, because this movie goes way more artsy and distances itself from traditional modern cinematography throughout most of the movie. There's shots that hold for a really long time, there's shots that are really wide angle and far away from the subject, and so on, and they're just sort of jarring, but they supplement the mysterious tone of the movie very, very well. The music, composed by Micah Levi, is also really, really good in this movie. It's so dark and evil sounding that it fits perfectly with what you're being shown on screen. The music really sets the tone for each scene right away, because right when you hear that dark music start playing, you know shit's about to get real weird real fast. It's definitely one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a horror movie for quite some time. It's right up there with the It Follows soundtrack for me. Okay, so just to touch on the story once again real quickly, it's definitely one of the most unique stories I've ever seen unfold on screen. It's really well paced too, because like I said, you slowly get more information about the woman and who she is, how she feels about what she's doing, etc. You get to see how she interacts with her victims and how she uses her sexuality to lure in these men like a spider lures her prey to a web. I will, however, say that sometimes things will happen that will likely confuse you as a viewer and you never really get an explanation for it. Sometimes I really liked this element and sometimes it bugged me because I was left a little confused, but this is just a minor dislike for me. Also, this shouldn't be a factor for you, but I should let you know that you do get to see Scarlett Johansson naked a few times in this movie. So if that's what it takes for you to go watch this movie, then whatever, I guess. Okay, so overall I really enjoyed this film. I think it has great acting, a really strong, unique identity and story, really good music, and great and unique cinematography. I also felt that sometimes the story was a tad confusing and never explained itself, but this is just a small knock on the movie as a whole for me. I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 out of 10 and say that you should definitely watch this one wherever you can if you're into sci-fi, thriller, or horror films. This movie is currently streamable on Amazon Prime Video, so I'd recommend you check it out there if you can. So did you guys see Under the Skin yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know whether this is your kind of movie or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future content like this. Thanks again to EquinoxGuardVice for the request, whose channel link you can find in the description below. Don't forget to keep sending me your review requests and I'll pick my favorites and the most liked requests and obviously review them while giving your channel a shout out in that video. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.